So you must be dying then to become. We never said the word, and I couldn't frame it now. No, that's just Carlisle. He would never do that to someone who had another choice. The respect in his voice was profound whenever he spoke of his father figure. It is easier, he says, though, he continued, if the blood is weak. He looked at the now dark road, and I can feel the subject closing again. And Emmett and Rosalie? Carlisle brought Rosalie to our family next. I didn't realize till much later that she was hoping that she would be to me what Esme was to him. He was careful with his thoughts around me. He rolled his eyes. But she was never more than a sister. It was only 2 years later that she found Emmett. She was hunting. We were in Appalachia at the time, and found a bear about to finish him off. She carried him back to Carlisle, more than 100 miles, afraid that she wouldn't be able to do it herself. I'm only beginning to guess how difficult that journey was for her. He threw a pointed glance in my direction, and raised our hands still folded together to brush my cheek with the back of his hand. But she made it, I encouraged, looking away from the unbearable beauty of his eyes. Yes, she murmured. She saw something in his face that made her strong enough, and they've been together ever since. Sometimes they live separately from us, as a married couple. But the younger we pretend to be, the longer we can stay in any given place. Forks seemed perfect. So we all enrolled in high school, he laughed. I suppose we'll have to go to their wedding in a few years again. Alice and Jasper? Alice and Jasper are two very rare creatures. They both developed a conscience, as we refer to it, with no outside guidance. Jasper belonged to another family, a very different kind of family. He became depressed, and he wandered on his own. Alice found him. Like me, she has certain gifts above and beyond the norm for our kind. Really? I interrupted, fascinated. But you said you were the only one who can hear people's thoughts. That's true. She knows other things. She sees things. Things that might happen, things that are coming. But it's very subjective. The future isn't set in stone. Things change. His jaw set when he said that, and his eyes darted to my face in a way so quickly that I wasn't sure if I only imagined it. What kind of things does she see? She saw Jasper, and knew that he was looking for her before he knew it himself. She saw Carlisle and our family, and they came together to find us. She's most sensitive to non-humans. She always sees, for example, when another group of our kind is coming near, and any threat they may pose. Are there a lot of your kind? I was surprised. How many of them can walk among us undetected? No, not many, but most won't settle in any one place. Only those like us who've given up hunting you people, a sly glance in my direction, can live together with humans for any length of time. We've only found one other family like ours, in a small village in Alaska. We lived together for a time, but there were so many of us that we became too noticeable. Those of us who live differently tend to band together. And the others? Nomads for the most part. We've all lived that way at times. It gets tedious like anything else. But we ran across the others now and then, because most of us prefer the north. Why is that? We were parked in front of my house now, and he turned off the truck. It was very quiet and dark. There was no moon. The porch light was off, so I knew my father wasn't home yet. Did you have your eyes open this afternoon? He teased. Do you think I can walk down the street in the sunlight without causing traffic accidents? There's a reason why we chose the Olympic Peninsula, one of the most sunless places in the world. It's nice to be able to go outside in the day. You wouldn't believe how tired you can get of nighttime in 80-odd years. So that's where the legends came from? Probably. And Alice came from another family like Jasper. No, and that is a mystery. Alice doesn't remember her human life at all, and she doesn't know who created her. She awoke alone. Whoever made her walked away, and none of us understand why or how he could. If she hadn't had that other sense, she hadn't seen Jasper and Carlisle and known that she would someday become one of us, she probably would have turned into a total savage. There was so much to think through, so much I still wanted to ask, but to my great embarrassment, my stomach growled. I'd been so intrigued, I hadn't realized I was hungry. I realized now that I was ravenous. I'm sorry, I'm keeping you from dinner. I'm fine, really. I've never spent much time around anyone who eats food. I forget. I want to stay with you. It was easier to say than in the darkness, knowing as I spoke my voice would betray me, my hopeless addiction to him. Can't I come in? He asked. Would you like to? I couldn't picture it. This godlike picture sitting in my father's shabby kitchen chair. Yes, if it's all right. The door closed quietly, and almost simultaneously he was outside of my door opening it for me. Very human, I complimented him. It's definitely resurfacing. He walked beside me in the night. So quietly I had to peek at him constantly to make sure he was still there. In the darkness he looked much more normal, still pale, still dreamlike in his beauty, but no longer the fantastic sparkling creature of our sparkling afternoon. He reached the door in front of me and opened it for me. I paused halfway through the frame. The door wasn't unlocked? No, I used the key under the eave. I stepped inside, flipped on the porch light, and turned to look at him with my eyebrows raised. I was sure I'd never used that key in front of him. I was curious about you. You spied on me? But somehow I couldn't infuse my voice with the proper outrage. I was flattered. He was unrepentant. What else is there to do at night? I let it go for the moment and went down the hall to the kitchen. He was there before me, needing no guide. He sat in the very chair I tried to picture him in. His beauty lit up the kitchen. It was a moment before I could look away. I concentrated on getting my dinner, taking last night's lasagna from the fridge, placing a square on a plate, heating it in a microwave. It revolved, filling the kitchen with the smell of tomatoes and oregano. I didn't take my eyes off the plate of food as I spoke. How often? I asked casually. He sounded as if I pulled him from some other train of thought. I still didn't turn around. How often did you come here? I come here almost every night. I whirled, stunned. Why? You're interesting when you sleep. He spoke matter-of-factly. You talk. No. I gasped, heat flooding my face all the way to my hairline. I reached the kitchen counter for support. I knew I talked in my sleep, of course. My mother teased me about it. I hadn't thought it was something I needed to worry about here, though. His expression shifted instantly to chagrin. Are you very angry with me? That depends. I felt and sounded like I had the breath knocked out of me. He waited. On, he urged. What you heard, I wailed. Instantly, silently, he was at my side, taking my hands carefully in his. Don't be upset, he pleaded. He dropped his face to the level of my eyes, holding my gaze. I was embarrassed. I tried to look away. You miss your mother, he whispered. You worry about her. And when it rains, the sound makes you restless.